Let's go. Here we go. Start the podcast.
He's the tallest man on the radio. So sit right back and enjoy
Controversial
the show.
theme song to some.
Flying through the air like a ballistic missile. Here's your host, Ben Kissel.
Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to Ben Kissel Politics, the greatest political podcast going today. I am Ben Kissel. You can find me on Instagram at BenKissel1. Joined as always by producer extraordinaire Louis Ramsey.
Hello, everybody. Happy Cinco de Mayo.
Hope everyone had a fantastic weekend. Enjoy the Met Gala. Oh my God, Jeff Bezos and his very strange creature of a wife, Lauren Sanchez. They put on quite an event for the super wealthy. But don't worry, it was all for charity. We have a clip coming from one of Jeff Bezos' employees who wasn't so thrilled to see him hanging out with everybody in such fancy dresses, including Lena Dunham. They are quite upset that they are not being paid a living wage as they work and slave away in his factories. We also, I'm sorry I'm going to be browbeating you here, but we have to talk a little bit more about flock cameras, and we're going to talk about the Alabama prison situation. But first, let's kick this episode off, as we always do, with just a little bit of music. And this music is presented to us by DJ Rubio, Marco Rubio. He was at a family wedding, and he took over the turntable, and my God, was that super cool event rocking and rolling after the old Rubio touched them dials. Let's play it. Thank you, U.S. Secretary. He kicks it up a notch. Whoa! Wow, Marco Rubio showing that he's not just talentless at being the U.S. State Secretary, he also can't DJ, so good job, Marco. Will he be running for president in 2028? Most likely. Will he trip over his big ears again like he did in 2016? It's possible. We'll get to those stories when they are relevant. Small update. Dolphins. We talked about kamikaze dolphins. Okay, so this made it all the way to the White House. I said Iran might be mining dolphins, might be arming dolphins with mines. Well, Pete Hegseth says no, they're not. They don't even have that capability. So the supreme evil that is Iran, the nation that we must destroy because they're so close to getting a nuke, evidently they don't even have the technology to arm their dolphins with mines. However, the United States government does. Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense, says, I cannot confirm nor deny whether we have kamikaze dolphins, but I can confirm that they, being Iran, don't. Another victory for America and the unbelievable might of the United States military. Even our dolphins are better than their fucking dolphins. Since 1959, the U.S. Navy's Marine Mammal Program, this is true, has trained bottlenose dolphins and California sea lions, a sea lion, to detect mines and other underwater threats. So the dolphins and the California sea lion specifically, they've been on the front lines of making sure that our submarines, our naval vessels are safe at sea. I guess it's not really a fun job for them because I'm assuming they get blown up. I guess you find a mine and then you're like, shoot, I did my job too well. Now I'm dead. They also conduct surveillance and locate and recover objects at sea. That's according to Naval Information Warfare Center Pacific, a research and engineering laboratory for the Navy. So it is real. We are using dolphins and California sea lions. And anyone who has been to the beautiful area, San Francisco, I think I've seen some sea lions out there. They'll mess you up. They look cute. They look like they'll smoke a cigar and tell you how to bet on the 1974 Derby. But they'll fuck you up. So be very careful out there when discussing life with a sea lion after you've had a couple of drinks on the shores of San Francisco. All right, let's move on now. Also, we have to talk about the Met Gala, as I mentioned. I want to play this clip. This was it was an interesting event, obviously. I'm sure everyone saw the cool looks. We might talk about those on OK Bud with Jerry Aquino, who has a much better sense of fashion than I do. But now that Jeff Bezos is in charge of the Met Gala, the idea, and obviously this idea was a farce to begin with, but the idea that this is about charity, this is about protecting the arts. Of course, Jeff Bezos, a man who's making billions of dollars off of the proliferation of AI, everything that he has done to dismember and disable the United States economy, as he started off with basically just a glorified bookstore. And now all of a sudden Amazon has gone in and taken parts of every corner of the economy, not just taken parts, if not completely destroyed parts of the economy. I want to play this clip that was projected on the side of a building. I was thinking, as someone who's lived in New York for a long time, I lived there for 15 years, it might be slightly annoying if this was projected on your apartment. Be like, oh my God, can we not do this right now? I am desperately attempting to sleep. Reminds me a little bit of National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, where Elaine Bennis's character, she and her boyfriend, they're neighbors to Clark Griswold. And my God, is that a nightmare. Let's play this clip, however, of an Amazon worker's message to Jeff Bezos, projected over the scene of the Met Gala as all the uber wealthy go in to discuss God knows what the uber wealthy discuss.
Jeff Bezos, my name is Mary Hill. I am a 72-year-old warehouse worker at one of your facilities. When we struggle from paycheck to paycheck, from week to week, really angers me. Because if it weren't for every associate in every Amazon facility, he wouldn't have all those zeros behind his name. Shame on you, Jeff Bezos. The people that need to be being celebrated at the Met Gala are the workers, people like me. We deserve that celebration. We deserve so much more than we're getting.
I agree.
There's power in numbers, and there's more of us than there are of you. Remember, Jeff, ordinary people like myself that helped make you billionaires, if we built it, we can tear it down.
Oh.
Think about that tonight, okay? After that bottle of champagne when you go to bed. We're going to keep growing, and we're going to keep building, and we're going to keep protesting, and we're going to keep marching, and we're going to keep fighting this dystopian culture. We're not stopping. We're just getting cranked up. Enjoy your damn gala.
I love the conclusion. Enjoy your damn gala with those damned people. She does say something that's a bit apropos. There's power in numbers. Unfortunately, the number that matters the most is your bank account. And Jeff Bezos probably looks at that and chuckles, says, oh my God, well, don't forget to go fire her. And in the minds of these billionaires, all they do is see this dissent as foul and un-American. And in the back of their minds, they say, good, I can't wait to automate this plant faster because they're fucking scumbags. And that's how scumbags think. When it comes to scumbags also, large technology, Elon Musk, he was going to build a state-of-the-art water recycling plant. For some reason, he has said, no more, I'm done. Enough of this possible good thing. Musk promised his data center would reuse water. Now that proposal has stalled completely. 2 years ago, Musk's first data center dedicated to its AI chatbot was up and running. Construction now has come to a screeching halt as the promised water recycling plant no longer will be open. The company announced that it will stop working on the water recycling plant in April of this fine year, a month after its CEO touted in a meeting with Donald Trump about its success. Now, Memphis residents are obviously extremely worried about what their drinking water is going to look like. This is according to Haley Gentry, Assistant Director at the Tulane Institute on Water Resources, Law, and Policy. Oh my God, don't get me super wet, pal. You know, you go out with, or maybe this gal. Don't get me super hard, Haley. That's the thing. Everyone who actually does good things in this world, it's difficult to have a cocktail with them. Difficult to have a really engaging conversation until they meet that person who is also really, really into the Tulane Institute on Water Resource Law and Policy. And then that's called love. And then they can get married and they can drink all the water they want at their wonderful wedding. This is what Haley Gentry had to say. At the end of the day, if they are not required and don't have any legal commitments to provide this, then it's anyone's guess if and when they will continue construction on this plant. Obviously, nobody does anything out of the goodness of their heart. There was a time in America where maybe we thought trickle-down economics is real. They want to see everybody succeed. All ships rise. Well, a lot of ships also sink. A lot of ships also get shipwrecked as the yachts pass them by and float above the water as they are down in the ground like the Titanic. So Elon Musk had maybe one good idea, one humanitarian idea. And he said, fuck it, screw it. Forget about it. Don't worry. That was just a blip. That's just a blip. I'm still a complete and utter bastard. All right. I also want to talk just briefly, and we'll do a longer episode on this. But as we know, thousands and thousands of Los Angeles homeowners, they were dropped by their insurance company, that being State Farm, just before the Palisades fire. These companies, they all hide. Jake from State Farm, he's out there at all the college sporting events. He's doing everything to look cool and be a nice guy. They have some fantastic ads. All the insurance companies, they're so entertaining. Flo from Progressive. They're a whole cast of characters out there. It's like they're a little family. Like a little family coming in and destroying your neighborhood. So State Farm is now under investigation for pulling insurance from 1,600 households just before the Palisades fire. The insurance giant, they say it's in hot water by the Trump administration and the state of California for its performance in compensating victims of the Eaton and Palisades fire. This is why there's a dude that's a reality star that is actually making some waves. His name is Spencer Pratt, making some waves in the mayoral race here in Los Angeles. I don't think he's going to win. It looks like it'll be another gal. But he's getting traction. His entire campaign is solely based upon what happened in the Palisades fire. And again, on the heels of the Met Gala, where everyone goes around in their bubble dresses, and one woman dressed like Groot for some reason, people are still suffering. And in this case, one thing that we can glean from it, that I don't know if it's positive or not, it doesn't matter if you're super wealthy. The insurance companies will find a way to fuck you over. Now, of course, if you're super wealthy, you can handle it. You can mitigate this slightly better than if you're not. Obviously, I still have sympathy for the people who had their houses burned down in the Palisades, but they can recover quicker than, let's say, the people in Katrina, for example, in New Orleans, or the people in North Carolina.
Even like Altadena.
So residents, they paid their premiums. They paid their premiums for years. And then evidently State Farm notoriously dropped thousands of households from their policies, forcing them onto the California Fair Plan, which anytime you're forced to go and work with the government of California, holy hell, get ready to bring out the scissors to try to cut through that red tape. It's a waking nightmare. So you went from having State Farm insurance with the face that is Jake, nice, handsome man, he could fuck my wife by the pool, going to have to deal with the state of California. So this is going to lead to a potential lawsuit against State Farm, as now the Trump administration and the state of California, strange bedfellows connecting here, say, hey, I don't think that was right. State Senator Ben Allen had to intervene. He managed to push SB 495 through California legislator that required State Farm and other insurers to pay at least 60% of personal property losses before requiring a list of things that the people have lost. So they continued, however, State Farm continued to demand the list. So right now, State Farm, again, isn't doing what it was supposed to do. It's screwing over its clients, and it's just more of the same. And again, we wonder why corporate America, why CEOs feel under attack, because they've been attacking us for years and years and years. Also, a small side note, why are CEOs all of a sudden thinking that they should be the face of their companies? McDonald's, I think Arby's, anytime a company puts their CEO in public, it reminds us that they're alien. We've talked about aliens on this show. It's possible that we're viewing reptilians attempting to eat a big deluxe, arch deluxe. They don't seem human. They're disconnected from anyone that reminds us of what a human being is. And they are in charge of taking care of us when something catastrophic happens. These are the same people that can't even call their food. They have to refer to it as product, because no one loves ordering product and eating product for dinner more than a CEO. Small side story there. All right, let's move on. I want to talk about Alabama. Let's play some clips here. Let's start with this clip. Alabama state prison population could rise by a third by 2030. Okay. This stat is going to stun you. It stunned me anyway. With 898 inmates per 100,000 Alabama residents, the state has the sixth highest incarceration rate on the planet. Alabama jails more people per capita than any other country in the world except for El Salvador. It's unbelievable. So this is according to Wanda Burtman with the Prison Policy Institute. They say it is usually a mix of southern states kind of jockeying for those top few spots, and Alabama always does get it up there, along with Louisiana, Mississippi, Oklahoma, and Arkansas. There's something that more or less holds true every single time we do a report. Also, when it comes to Louisiana, we should talk about the Supreme Court decision that outlawed minority districts. So that's going to greatly help the Republicans out, as now they can go and gerrymander that state even further, carve it up like the doctor did to Joker in 1989. Joker had to smash a mirror because he couldn't stand what he was looking at. And we should all smash the mirror, because we cannot stand by and look at states like Louisiana and Alabama continue what they're doing. It's awful. There's a great documentary. I believe it's called The Alabama Solution. I was out there when I went out to Nashville. I was talking with some fans, and they mentioned Alabama, how scary it is. You do not want to get incarcerated there. So let's point out to why. Let's play this first clip. When it comes to slave labor, Alabama, they hold their beer. They are top notch. Slavery perhaps never ended. It just moved into incarceration. Oh, let's play this clip.
They don't want you to see the slave labor that's going on inside. It doesn't matter if the job is dangerous. It doesn't matter if you're sick. You can be written a disciplinary for refusing to work and placed in solitary confinement. And it's not just prison jobs. A lot of prisoners are being leased out to corporations or to do state work.
I work in Department of Sanitation every day in the communities, and I only get paid $2 a day.
Unbelievable.
Downtown Montgomery, they have inmates working there. Even the governor mansion where KI been.
We're being told you're going to work for us for free until you die. If they insist on running an unconstitutional prison, and they can run it in their cell.
So that is happening right now in America. What would you do? What would you do if there was slavery happening? Would you go fight it? It's tough. What are you going to do? They got 15 facilities out there. It's absolutely horrible. We just have to shine a light on it, and policy might change. I think that women leaders will be so much more sensitive. Kay Ivey, she's the governor of Alabama. Psychopath. I don't know. I think there's a lot of evil within all the political class, regardless of genitalia and top shelf. So, there's a commission working. It's called the Applied Research Services. It's a research firm that studies criminal justice. They estimated that the people in custody of the Alabama Department of Corrections would grow from 21,753 to between 24,000 and 28,000 inmates by 2030. Are people becoming that more violent? No. It's because, as we've talked about before, now with the flock cameras going up, with the amount of data that's being collected, you can get anyone for anything. Throw the book at them, over-sentence them. Who cares? You're going to get free labor from them for life. And not to mention, you're going to continue to feed the prison industrial complex. This is according to Bennett Wright, executive director of the Alabama Sentencing Commission. They say the system, even before all the changes that happened, was already trending up. All the things that I discussed, and that is not to say that they are good or bad, but they are going to adjust to track up more. So Alabama, because it's overcrowded, there has been a major crisis in violence in the correctional facilities. The U.S. Department of Justice sued the state in 2020, saying the conditions in the men's prison violates an inmate's Eighth Amendment rights against cruel and unusual punishment. Let's play a clip here as well of what it looks like to be in an Alabama prison. It's awful. And we'll play it and we'll discuss it.
It's hard conditions, man. Look. It's Elmo.
Nasty. Toilets completely rotted out, mold. Absolutely disgusting. And some people might be wondering, how are they getting the footage in the prisons? Isn't it illegal to have a phone? That's my favorite, is when people don't even watch what's being filmed. They're just like, well, I don't even think they should have phones. That's called the definition of the problem and why these things continue to exist and persevere here in America. People are more concerned that they smuggled in a cell phone than what they're actually seeing, which is unbelievably inhumane conditions. Some of these people obviously need to be there. A lot of them probably don't. So the state prison population, actually, there were sentencing reforms in Alabama in 2015, and the prison population actually dropped. And then during COVID, they also said, if you're sick, don't come in. And then after that, they said, well, enough of that. We need to start getting our prisons filled up again. There's way too much money to be made in human suffering. And that's exactly what they did. So I want to play another clip from an inmate talking about why they're using cell phones. A lot of people say, why can't you just use the phone in the prison? Well, as we've discussed before on this show, first of all, it's more expensive than a sex line from 1993, where most likely you're talking to a man with a fairly feminine voice. Which I guess that's sort of happening again, isn't it? Circle of life. Men jerking off to men, pretending to be women. Let's play this clip of this man discussing why they need to use the cell phones, because obviously everything that they say on the line within the Department of Corrections is being recorded, and they can't really be themselves.
Hold on a minute. Police in here.
Oh, okay.
It's okay. They're gone now.
Would a regular phone call be better?
No, because it does not allow us to just be ourselves. You know, When we present our stories, we want to present our whole self, not just our voice.
So
we're in these walled off secret societies. These are state institutions. But it's one of the only state institutions that the public or the media has no access to. How can a journalist go into a war zone but can't go into a prison in the United States of America?
Mm-hmm. And of course, we do not have freedom of press. We have freedom of mouthpieces. But why aren't they in there? Why can't we see what's going on behind the walls in these prisons in Alabama specifically? And of course, all over the country, but Alabama specifically. So there's a couple of factors that has increased as to why the prison population has increased. The statute was enacted by the legislature for split sentences. In the past, most cases in the criminal justice system required judges to apply split sentences once defendants were convicted. Okay, so they said you either had to get probation or a split sentence. So now everything is back on the table. The split sentence law has also changed. So even if someone is split, the split sentence law is amended to allow for longer sentences on splits. The legislature in 2023 reduced the amounts of credit people in prison could receive on their prison sentence for good behavior. So there you go. I wonder why there's a little bit more violence. They certainly decided to de-incentivize good behavior. If you're not going to get any time off your sentence, that was sort of the carrot. That was what you were going after. You know, that's the rabbit that the dogs are supposed to be chasing on the horse track. And of course, now you never get it. So prior to passing that law, people classified in the second tier could receive up to 40 days of credit for every 30 days served. April Weaver, a Republican from Breerfield, reduced it to 15 days for every 30 days served. They say they reduced general good time and they reduced access to maximum good time as well. Along with that, the Alabama Board of Pardons and Paroles updated the guidelines they use to determine whether to grant an applicant parole. So all of those changes in general are again why the prison population has spiked. They say we have, with a high percentage of splits, high parole, and higher percentage of people coming in on good time, you would expect a prison population in 5 years of about 24,000 people. So these things are not on accident. These things are all on purpose. This isn't because there was some massive drug cartel that came in and increased crime by X amount. And I'm sure some of you are wondering, what's a split sentence? A split sentence is a criminal sentence where a judge orders a defendant to serve short-term time in jail or prison, followed by a period of supervised probation. Obviously, if you're on probation, you can still be in the community. But anyone who knows anything about probation, knock on wood, I don't. I haven't lived it. But you know they want you back. And all it takes is one mistake. You miss a probation hearing, paperwork didn't get filed correctly, confusion, storms happen, you can't make it. If you're in Wisconsin, snowstorms happen all the time. So the key aspects of split sentencing, the sentence is, again, divided into jail/prison term, followed by mandatory probation. There is a split versus straight probation. Straight probation involves no jail time. And obviously, split sentences involve some jail time. Mandatory supervision. If a defendant violates probation conditions, they're immediately arrested and thrown back in the pokey. They call it the pokey for a reason you don't want to know. Common applications, also used here in California, under AB 109. It's for nonviolent felonies. And they say the benefits, it provides a middle ground for sentencing. And now, as we've seen again in Alabama, with their changes In split sentencing, the increase in prisoners is there. So there's 4,000 beds at the Elmore County, in Elmore County. They cost more than $1 billion. The Prison Policy Initiative calculates incarceration rates by comparing the numbers of people in state prisons, county jails, juvenile detention, and immigration facilities per capita. The report compared the rates of each U.S. state to the rates of countries with more than 500,000 residents. Only 5 states, again, lock up higher percentages than the people in Alabama: Louisiana, Mississippi, Oklahoma, Arkansas. So the overall rate in the United States is 641 inmates per 100,000. And again, it's nearly 900 per 100,000 in Alabama. So it's bad. Something must be done. Unfortunately, there's so much money to be made that I don't think this is going to be going in the right direction. So this is according to Wanda Burtman, again, with the Prison Policy Initiative. They say it would be one thing if all of a sudden our incarceration rates drop such that we were now getting beaten out by Belgium. But El Salvador is a country that has been run as a police state for over the last few years. That's not something that the U.S. is dealing with, although I think we might be dealing with that. So there are a lot of inconsistencies there. Data from the Alabama Department of Corrections shows the state is actually sending fewer people to state prisons than it was 10 years ago. However, again, with the elongated prison sentences, I guess less is more. The Department of Justice is suing, saying Alabama's prison systems are unconstitutional and dangerously overcrowded. So you know it's got to be bad if the Trump administration is saying, that's too much. According to Carla Crowder, she is the executive director of the nonprofit Alabama Appleseed, which sounds like a fun little minor league baseball team. Coming to the field, the Alabama Appleseed. All they do is bunt. I don't know why. She says the reforms are needed. She says, quote, you wouldn't have somebody serving 40 years out of Mobile County for the same offense that somebody would get a 5-year sentence for out of Lauderdale. Also, the creation of diversion programs, drug courts, and community corrections where people could serve their sentences in the community and report back and also be monitored. So there's different approaches that people want to see in Alabama. But of course, again, the powers that be want to make sure that they get their slave labor, and they want to make sure that they have those prisoners to fulfill the needs. So Alabama Correctional Industries, that's who runs it, the ACI. Absolutely corrupt, horrible. Currently, the head of the Alabama Department of Corrections is a dude named John Q. Hamm. Evidently, he's going to retire after 4 years. So John Q. Hamm, thanks for nothing. This is what the governor, again, Kay Ivey, had to say. She'll break your dick off. She says running the Department of Corrections in any state is a heavy task, and Commissioner John Hamm has been exceptional for Alabama. No doubt, she goes on, no doubt corrections is better today than when he took office in 2017. I certainly give John tons of credit for our progress across the spectrum. I love that she used the word progress. Oftentimes we think of progress like things moving forward. We're getting better. There's progress here. Oh, thank God we're finally making progress. There's also digression, and that is seen as progression in the eyes of some of these people. Again, this is not on accident. This is what they want. Let's move on. Again, I am sorry I have to bring this up, but we are talking about the flock cameras. Let's play some clips here. So it all ties in together. The flock cameras are coming, 200 per day being built. Why is it so negative? It starts a massive data collection program, and our civil liberties are completely in tatters. Some might think, what about the Fourth Amendment? There's no right to privacy in public, and it being that it's public information, the Fourth Amendment isn't being violated. So maybe we need to amend the Fourth Amendment. I don't know. Let's play, first of all, how what's going to happen now with your driving record. So let's play this clip. Your driving record is now going to be public record. I don't understand how this is legal, and I wish the legislative bodies, of course, they're all bought and sold. As a matter of fact, I think it was Elizabeth Warren who sold like 200 shares of Spirit Airlines like 2 weeks before it went out of business. I don't know how they know. I don't know how they know. They're all biff with their sports almanac, living high on the hog, being assholes. So let's play this clip here when it comes to your driving record now being public record. And is that something you want? I certainly don't.
A judge just discovered a flaw in America's largest private surveillance network, and it's a nightmare for anyone who drives a car. The company is Flock Safety. They have cameras in thousands of cities that create a searchable map of your life. They sold it to police as a secure private system, but a judge in Washington just ruled that every photo their cameras take is a public record. In theory, that means anyone, your angry ex, a stalker, a private investigator, file a request to see a log of where you drive. And the cities are so terrified of this ruling, they're now in a panic. This one ruling in Washington just exposed that the private surveillance network across the US, the one you drive through every day, might not be private after all.
All right. Flock has also made 4 changes to their standard terms and conditions. Because as always, when they start promoting their new tech, they say, we're never going to sell your data. This is the safest thing ever. These are 4 changes to the standard terms and conditions from the Flock camera company. This is dated February 16th, 2026. This is when it's going to take effect. Sale of data. Flock's previous T&C stated flatly, Flock does not own and shall not sell consumer data. That language is now absent from their terms and conditions. So they just took that out, which means Flock does sell your customer data. Another point. Control over data. There's a new license while granting formal legal ownership of data to the customer. It grants the company, quote, the exclusive right to determine and control the method, timing, format, and medium of access to the data that supposedly belongs to the customer. So it belongs to us, but we can't get it, and they have it, and they won't give it to us. But it's ours. You know how that works. It's like licking a plastic ice cream cone. Well, you still have it. Do I? A perpetual license. This is point 3. The terms and condition now add a perpetual right for Flock to use customer data to, quote, support and improve its services, allowing the company to keep driver surveillance data even after a town, city, or other customer has terminated its relationship with Flock. So if you're a state, we'll play a clip here from, I believe, Monroe County here in a second, in Michigan, Monroe County. If you allow them in, all the data that they collect, they will keep forever, regardless if you halt your relationship. Lastly, 4th, liability, termination, and arbitration provisions. The new contract expands Flock's protections against liability for willful misconduct or gross negligence. As mentioned in the clip. So when you do get murdered by your stalker because he happens to be in law enforcement, he knows exactly where you're going at all times. He knows your new boyfriend or he knows your new girlfriend. Now, Flock completely cleared. Why? Because they wrote it in their terms and conditions. Unreal. So the new contract expands Flock's protections against liability for willful misconduct or gross negligence, potentially shifting the costs of all data breaches and other failures from the company to the taxpayers. So they take our freedom, they use us as cattle, as data mines. They throw us away, and when they fuck up, we pay the price. Flock contracts, including when a town or city council votes not to approve a contract or fails to appropriate funds for it. It also mandates private arbitration under Georgia law when there is a contract in dispute. And it makes it harder for customers to terminate flock contracts. So even if you get it, it's hard to terminate it. I'll be back. Including when a town or city council votes not to approve a contract or fails to appropriate the funds for it, as nearly 50 cities have done this past year alone. So those 4 changes to the standard terms and conditions of flock lets you know exactly what they want to do, how they're going to do it, and they're going to be laughing all the way to the bank. Let's play this. Let's play flock drones coming to Monroe County, Michigan. People are upset. They're speaking, I believe, to a sheriff there, one of the heads of law enforcement. Let's just play this.
Kill, not just hurt, kill. It's a possibility. Yeah, right. And that bothers me too. We already have drones. We don't need drones that are triggered by the flock cameras.
So
we did sign into a contract with Flock for the DFR program, who we already have for the LPRs throughout the county. This is going to integrate with the LPRs that we have. So if we get a stolen vehicle that drives through and hits it, the drone pilot would automatically get an alert with the GPS coordinates and the location. Hit a button, the drone will go up to the predetermined altitude and fly directly to that. When the drone is being launched and flying to a location, the camera is facing straight forward. Once we're on site, the pilot takes over, we tilt the camera down, and start searching for whatever we're looking for. Once it needs a battery swap, it comes back, lands, we can send the other one right back up, and we can just leapfrog them to keep it in the air almost continuously. And obviously drones will only get better.
The technology is beneficial because it picks up the slack of how many police officers, right? How much funding is saved by implementing this?
None.
No different than the flock cameras. It's essentially like having a police officer stationed at each of those locations that we have flock cameras.
When is it too much? This is
Yes.
too much.
Absolutely.
You can have the vote, but I assure you my vote is no already. With these not even being in line of sight, how much do the drones weigh?
Just under 22 pounds.
22 pounds from 200 feet. How much is the G-force for that?
That's the calculations I don't have.
Yeah, right. Would you agree, even without doing the calculations?
Oh, that can cause.
yeah, I would imagine that can cause somebody a little brain damage. Lastly, let's play this one clip of a man who is living in flock hell. The man will tell his story, but apparently his license plate reads as if he has a bunch of warrants. He doesn't have any warrants. And so now every time he drives, he gets pulled over because these cops, they're not doing their actual job. They're just looking at the flock data and saying, oh, they guess that's the right data. And then they go forward and make an arrest or attempted arrest. Let's play this clip lastly.
Over here, they zipped out of nowhere and immediately got behind me with the lights flashing.
There was no crime committed.
No, I don't have a warrant.
But Kyle Dosman is getting used to sitting in his car.
I don't think this warrant has been on this car for very long.
And answering questions.
I continually am getting pulled over. I can't really use my truck in any fashion.
Kyle made sure his dash cam was recording yesterday after Cherry Hills Village police officers pulled him over near the same area Saturday.
Hello. Oh, we got you last week.
Yeah.
We got you last week.
Oh. I was driving through here yesterday, and I got pulled over again. It was actually by the same officer.
You need my license?
No.
Okay.
I remember you, man.
Okay.
The Cherry Hills Village police say the Gilpin County Sheriff has a warrant out with Kyle's plate, and it was put on a flock camera hot list.
Okay. Everywhere in the state, every time I pass a camera, they get alerts in their car that I'm in the area.
The flock cameras did alert to his license plate being associated to a warrant.
Cherry Hills Village Police Chief Jason Lyon says when anyone with a warrant passes one of their flock cameras, they get an alert, but that Kyle doesn't actually have a warrant.
Nobody should be stopped when there's no legitimate law enforcement purpose for that.
Kyle has called both the Gilpin County Courts and Sheriff's Office to get off the list, but they've told him he needs to know who the warrant is for, which nobody can tell it.
Yeah, all I know is I'm in this system now, and there's really no easy way to get out of the system once you're in it.
So he continues to drive around, fearing when he's going to be stopped for questions again.
I don't know what this guy did to get a warrant, so I don't really know what the police response is going to be.
The chief said Cherry Hills has now taken Kyle off its flock hot list, but he can't remove Kyle from everyone else's. He believes the issue is because of a 0 in Kyle's license plate number. In Colorado, license plates have both O's and zeros, and sometimes when law enforcement communicates with the DMV about a warrant, they put in a warrant for both versions, the plate with an O and then the version with a 0 as well.
Why is it this dude's problem to get it fixed? And like, what's he supposed to do?
So I just heard back from the Gilpin County Sheriff that somehow this is actually a Colorado State Patrol warrant mismarked through the courts as Gilpin, as this guy keeps calling Gilpin to try to get any information. Gilpin told me they reached out to the court and CSP to get this fixed. I've been on the phone with CSP the last couple of minutes, got to them late, not their fault. We don't know.
All right, there we go. So that's the future, everybody. They put down a 0 or a 0 or an O. And they literally just put down both. They're like, I don't know. Maybe we need to do the X, the line through the circle or the line through the 0, something. That's literally why this happened to this poor bastard.
Also, their response of like, he has to figure it out as if he's a private investigator that can just figure out what somebody else's warrant that he doesn't know is for is so crazy.
It's crazy. Also, they can't tell him because they're like, no, that would be, we don't want to fuck with this guy's privacy. Ah, dang. All right, let's go to a phone call.
All right.
And also, anything else, Louis? Any thoughts?
I guess before the phone call, I'll just say I was thinking earlier, like, I didn't realize when I first moved here, like you talked earlier that we had the wildfires and like the insurance companies are trying to screw people over. But like 30 to 40% of the firefighters that fight those fires are incarcerated prisoners.
Yeah.
And before last year, like they just raised the wage, but before 2025, they were making $5 to $10 a day fighting fires and $1 an hour additional during emergencies. So you could fight a fire for 24 hours and make $30 for that day, which is like, that doesn't seem right. Like,
and get no time off your sentence and just get sent right back to jail.
And they were like, they increased the wage as of October 2025 to $7.25 an hour.
Woo!
But that's still, you can make $16 an hour working at McDonald's in Los Angeles. Like they're making $10 an hour less than minimum wage to fight fires, which is they're ruining their lungs. Like they're saving people's lives. It's crazy.
I can already hear people, don't do the crime if you can't do the well, a lot of times the crime isn't worth the time. The time ain't worth the crime.
Also, we don't have enough firefighters in California. Like without that, we would be screwed. So it's, I don't know.
And we are screwed currently. All right. Well, let's go to a phone call. Also, what's the number again for people to call?
That is a good, I'll say the number after I play the phone call because I have to look it up.
Perfect.
All right. We have a phone call from Helen in New Jersey.
Hello, Helen. Well, that's a beautiful name.
Hi, this is Helen, and I'm calling from New Jersey. It's more of a comment than a question for Ben Kissel Politics and in general, just to say that I'm really glad to have your melodic voice bringing news in a softer, more gentle and kind of humorous way.
Thank you.
Much more digestible. For someone like me who kind of gets overwhelmed and a bit scared. I'm a public school teacher. I teach middle school. It's scary enough. I'm not allowed to make comments on politics per se, but I think the fact that I run the school's Pride Club and an art club and I'm the art teacher, I think it's safe to say that people know where I stand. So thank you. Thank you for bringing some news to me.
Thank you, Helen.
And to my family, because it's something that will prompt us to have conversation. Me and my kid, that is. So I want to say, if you hear of anything about data centers in New Jersey, I mean, this is my home state. This is a very tight, tiny little place. Just all the recent things that you've been talking about are very much on topic. And if you catch wind of anything, I'd love and rather hear it from you. Thank you so much. Hale, you are fantastic.
Thank
so
you,
glad
Helen.
to have you on air.
Thank you so much, Helen. And you know me, I always catch wind. Just ask my little dog. Yeah, I'm a tootie patootie in bed at night. Thank you, Helen. Also, thank you for being an art teacher. Art teachers are the greatest. Without the art teacher, Mrs. Killsdonk, my home ec teacher, those are the positions that I grew immensely as a person. Those teachers in those positions helped me grow immensely as a person because math is frustrating, right? But then art, it's like, yeah, I can paint all bad and shit, you know. So thank you so much for what you do, Helen. We will definitely keep you up to date on any data centers going up in New Jersey. And yeah, all right, everyone. What was that number again?
Yeah, if you'd like to call in and leave us a message, if you think there's a story we should cover, or you liked a story we covered, or you just want to say hi, you can call us at 323-515-9095. and you can leave us a message and we'll happily play it on air.
Absolutely. And I think sometime this week or next week, we're going to do just an episode with some phone calls as a little bonus. So, all right, everyone. Thank you all so much for listening to this episode of Ben Kissel Politics. Love yourself, be yourself, hail yourself. We will talk to you soon. Goodbye.